Today we're going to go through Act 1, Scenes 4 and 5. Before we start that, we need to go through some of the main characters of Act 1. Somewhere in your workbook you have a character chart. It's on page 2 of the study guide handout that I gave you that has the literary elements on the first page. If you don't happen to have the study guide, you can fill this out in your journal just fine. Today we're going to look at only the characters and descriptions, and we're only going to go through some of the characters. Don't worry about the quotes. We'll go through those next week. The first character you need to record in your notes is Benvolio. Benvolio is a Montague. Montagues, that's Romeo's family. The first syllable of his name, Bene, means good. He's a good guy. Benvolio is universally known as a peacemaker. He's trustworthy, and even though he was involved in the fight in Verona at the beginning, the prince asked him what happened because he is trustworthy. So make sure that you write down that Benvolio is a Montague, he's trustworthy, and he's a peacemaker. He's also a good friend of Romeo. Up next we have Tybalt. Tybalt is kind of the opposite of Benvolio. Tybalt is a Capulet. He's Lord Capulet's nephew and Juliet's cousin. He is constantly wanting to fight. He's an instigator of trouble. His nickname is the Prince of Cats because he's a skilled swords fighter. But he is really quick to start a fight and always wants to be fighting. He is one of the reasons that the feud is continuing on so intensely as it is. Up next we have Romeo. Romeo is the 16-year-old only son of the Montague family. He is, I think we can say he's emotional. Remember here at the beginning of the play, he's shutting himself up in his bedroom, he's walking alone in the woods, he's ignoring everybody. And all that because he's in love with Rosalind. Rosalind is the woman who's sworn to become a nun, and so she's totally unavailable, but even so, he's still just wallowing in a state of depression at the beginning. So Romeo is the 16-year-old son of the Montagues. He is emotional, and he easily falls in love. We're going to find out here in a minute when he sees Juliet. Up next we have Juliet's nurse. Juliet's nurse is like her nanny. She's a really eccentric woman. She's kind of crazy, over the top, very talkative. But what's important about the nurse is that even though she's not a blood relative of Juliet, she is a sort of mother figure to her. She cares for her very much. She's interested in who she's going to marry. She wants to be helpful, and she is always kind to her. Next we have Juliet. Juliet is the 13-year-old daughter, almost 14. She'll be 14 in 2 weeks, of the Capulet family. Juliet is an only child because her brothers and sisters have all passed away. She is very spunky. She's a little bit mouthy and sassy with her mother. But the cool thing about Juliet is that she's a person who makes up her own mind. She doesn't just do what people tell her. She's supposed to marry Paris. Paris is quite a bit older than her. Remember, he is attractive. He is nice to her. And he is very wealthy and influential. But she's still interested in not getting married right away just because her parents tell her to. She wants to really love anybody that she enters into that kind of relationship with. And that's a pretty admirable quality, really. Up next we have Mercutio. You guys haven't met Mercutio yet. Sorry for the blurry picture here. Mercutio is Romeo's best friend. But Mercutio is also a really crazy guy. He's fun to be around. He's a joker, but he is kind of over the top in a way that gets him into trouble sometimes. Mercutio is neither Capulet nor Montague, even though he's Romeo's best friend. He's cousins with the prince. And so because of that, he's another type of nobleman all on his own. So he's well liked in the community, he's super popular, he's lots of fun. So the next thing I need you guys to do then is, after you guys watch Act 1 here in a minute, scenes 4 and 5, you need to finish up last class's homework. This love and marriage reflection was assigned last class. It is due today by the end of the school day. This is just the simple reflection where you tell me what you think about the idea of marriage. What's a good age for getting married? What do you guys think about arranged marriages? What's the most important thing in a marriage to make it work? But I want you guys to have a good understanding of what you believe about marriage, because we're about to see something kind of crazy happen with marriage here in Act 2 and 3 of Romeo and Juliet. The next assignment you guys have, this is the new one. This replaces your Act 1 quiz. Instead of giving you guys a quiz over Act 1, I'm just going to have you guys write some headlines for the act. So here's how. First, review these guidelines that tell you how to write a headline. We're pretending you guys are news writers. You're going to write a headline for either a television news company or for a newspaper. Remember that you need to have specific details. you need to get the reader's attention. And then we're going to avoid words like an and the, because news lines, they need to be short and concise. So what you'll do is once you decide what you want your headlines to be, you'll type them here. I do expect you guys to work alone on these and for these to be your own answers. The scenes are labeled. Act 1, Scene 1 is page 289 to 296. Scene 2 begins on page 296, but type your headline. A sample headline for Scene 1 might be something like, Fight Breaks Out in Verona. Prince issues new law. As always, if you guys have any questions, send me an email. Have a great weekend.